My cousin accused me of sleeping with his fiancée on their wedding day. My family abandoned me without asking one question. But 5 years later, they discovered the truth, and now they're all begging for forgiveness. I'm 32 years old. I work in graphic design in Seattle, and I need to tell this story because what happened 5 years ago basically destroyed my entire life in a single day. And now, after all this time, those same people who turned their backs on me want to come back like nothing happened. I don't know. I guess I need to get this all off my chest before making a decision that I probably already made years ago. I should start at the beginning, when everything was normal, before my world went to hell. I grew up in a small town outside Portland, one of those places where everyone knows everyone and where news travels faster than light. My family was big, typical small town family, and Kevin was like my brother more than my cousin. We grew up together, played together, went to the same school, like we were inseparable. I had two siblings, Jacob, who was older than me, and Madison, who was the baby of the family, like 6 or 7 years younger than me. We were honestly a pretty tight-knit family, or so I thought. We had barbecues every weekend, celebrated everything together. You know how it is. Kevin met Melissa in 2017, I think, or maybe it was late 2016. I'm not completely sure, but the point is they fell in love pretty fast. She was cute, super nice, worked at a library or something like that, and came from a religious family, like very religious. Her parents were the type who won't let you forget that God is watching everything you do, you know what I mean? But Melissa was cool. She wasn't as intense as them. Kevin was obsessed with her from day one, and honestly, I was happy to see him so happy. We got along well. I'd hang out with them sometimes. We'd go to the movies or out to dinner. Normal friend and family stuff. In 2019, Kevin finally proposed, and she said yes. Obviously. The whole town was excited, because you know how small towns are. A wedding is like the event of the year. They planned it for June 15th specifically. I remember it perfectly, because that day changed my life forever. I was happy for him, truly. I helped with a ton of wedding stuff. I even designed the invitations for free because, he was my cousin. It was the least I could do. The wedding day arrived, and everything seemed perfect. It was incredibly sunny. The ceremony was going to be outdoors in this beautiful garden they had rented. I arrived early to help with the last-minute things. I was wearing my new suit that I had bought especially for the occasion, and I was in a good mood. Excited to see my cousin get married. Luke, Kevin's best friend and his best man, was there too, running around making sure everything was in order. And then, out of nowhere, Kevin came out of one of the preparation rooms with a look I'd never seen on him before. Like, he was red, the veins in his neck were popping out, and he was coming straight at me. I thought maybe he was nervous or something. Because, it's normal to get nervous on your wedding day. But no, that wasn't nerves. Before I could even ask him what was wrong, he grabbed me by my shirt collar and threw me against the wall. Just like that, out of nowhere. It knocked the air out of me for a second, and all I could think was, what the hell is happening? He was yelling things at me that made no sense. Like, how could I do that to him? That I was a traitor. That I destroyed his life. I tried to break free and ask him what he was talking about, but he kept yelling and people started gathering around. His dad and Jacob, my brother, had to pull him off me, and I was standing there with my shirt torn and completely confused when Kevin yelled in front of everyone, in front of the entire family and the guests who had already arrived, that I had slept with Melissa. Just like that. He said I had an affair with his fiancée. I froze. I literally couldn't process what he had just said. It was so absurd, so out of nowhere, that my brain couldn't understand it. I tried to speak. I tried to say he was crazy, that it never happened, but no one would let me talk. My dad came up to me, and I thought he was going to defend me, that he was going to tell Kevin to calm down and that we'd talk like rational people, but no. He looked at me with a disgust I'll never forget and told me to leave. To get out of there immediately. My mom was crying, but she didn't come near me. Jacob pushed me toward the exit. Madison, my little sister, who was like 25 at the time, yelled at me that I was a pig, and how could I do that to Kevin? Everyone. And when I say everyone, I mean literally every person who was there, looked at me like I was the worst scum on earth. Melissa's parents appeared. She was crying, and they were consoling her while pointing at me and saying things I couldn't quite hear, but that clearly weren't anything good. I left there stumbling, not understanding anything, with my shirt torn and feeling like I was in a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. I drove to my house, which was like 20 minutes away, and the whole way I kept thinking this had to be a horrible misunderstanding, that someone was going to call me and tell me it was all a mistake. But no. When I got to my house, my phone wouldn't stop ringing. Messages from everywhere, from uncles, cousins, family, friends, all saying horrible things to me. No one, not a single person, asked me if it was true. No one asked for my side of the story. They just condemned me. I tried calling Kevin like 50 times, but he wouldn't answer. I called my parents and my mom barely let me speak before hanging up on me. I sent messages to my brother, begging him to please listen to me, that it was all a lie, but he blocked me. I called some friends, and they'd hang up as soon as they heard my voice. In less than 2 hours, I had become a ghost to everyone I knew. I couldn't understand what had happened. I mean, where did this accusation come from? Melissa and I never, and when I say never, never had anything. We weren't even super close, honestly. We'd hang out in groups sometimes, we got along well, but we weren't close friends or anything like that. There was absolutely nothing between us that could be misinterpreted as something romantic or sexual. Nothing. Not a single inappropriate conversation, not a weird look, nothing at all. The next few days were literally hell. I couldn't leave my house without people staring at me and whispering. I was working at the time at a small design agency in town, and when I went in the following Monday, my boss told me it was better if I didn't come back because my presence was making clients uncomfortable. Can you believe it? They fired me based on gossip, without any proof, without anything. I went to the supermarket, and the cashier literally refused to serve me. I had to leave my cart and walk out. I tried over and over to get someone, anyone, to tell me where this story came from. Finally, like a week later, my sister Madison answered one, caught of my messages, just to tell me I was a liar and a manipulator, and that there was proof. I begged her to tell me what proof, to show me something, anything. But she just sent me a message saying to stop playing innocent, that everyone knew the truth, and blocked me again. And then I found out, from people who still talk to me out of pity, more than anything else, that Melissa was going through the same thing. Her parents had literally kicked her out of the house, threw all her stuff out on the street. They excommunicated her or something like that, because, for her religious family, this was like the worst possible sin. She lost her job too. People harassed her on the street, yelled horrible things at her, and the worst part is, she was just as lost as I was. I talked to her like a month later, when we were both completely devastated, and she confirmed that she had no idea where all this came from either. Nothing ever happened between us. Ever. By August, I couldn't take it anymore. I had no job, no family, no friends. People treated me like a criminal. I decided I had to get out of there, or I was going to go crazy, or worse. I packed my things, the few I had, sold my car, and moved to Seattle. I chose Seattle because it was far enough away, and because I knew I could start over there without anyone knowing me. Melissa did something similar. She moved to Chicago. Basically, we both fled from a place that was supposed to be our home. Arriving in Seattle was weird. On one hand, I had this feeling of relief because nobody knew me. Nobody looked at me weird. I could walk down the street without feeling like everyone was talking about me. But on the other hand, I was completely alone. I didn't know anyone. I didn't have a job. I was living in a tiny apartment I could barely afford. I spent the first few months basically depressed, applying to jobs and trying to rebuild something that resembled a life. Eventually, I got a job at a bigger design agency. The pay, it was better than what I was making in town. And little by little, I started meeting people. I made new friends, went out once in a while, and started to feel like maybe, just maybe, I could get over this. But the truth is, I never completely got over it. It was always there. In the back of my mind, this constant question of why, how, who invented this lie that destroyed my life. In the summer of 2021, like 2 years after moving, I went to a barbecue for a coworker. I didn't really feel like going, but, I was trying to be more social and all that. And that's where I met Sophia. She was a friend of my coworker's girlfriend, worked in marketing for a tech company, and had this energy I liked from the moment I saw her. She was direct, funny, didn't beat around the bush. We talked all night and connected pretty quickly. We started dating, and at first, I didn't tell her anything about what had happened. Like, how do you explain to someone you just met that you were falsely accused of having an affair with your cousin's fiancé and that your entire family turned their backs on you without proof? It sounds completely crazy. But after like 3 months, when things were getting more serious, I knew I had to tell her. I couldn't build a relationship based on hiding my past. One night, after dinner at her apartment, I told her everything, absolutely everything, from the wedding day to moving to Seattle. I expected her to think I was crazy, or to leave me, or to at least doubt me. But Sophia listened without interrupting me, and when I finished, she just hugged me and told me that what happened to me sounded horrible, that my family were idiots for not listening to me, and that she believed me. Just like that. She believed me. Because she knew me. Because she had seen who I was, and because the story was so absurd it clearly had to be true. That meant everything to me. Finally, someone who knew me, even if it was just for a short time, believed me without needing proof or elaborate explanations. Sophia became my person. She supported me in everything, helped me process a lot of the trauma I was still carrying, and made me feel like maybe I could be happy again. The crazy thing is that Sophia and Melissa ended up being friends. Turns out they're both huge fans of true crime podcasts, and one day Sophia met Melissa at some online podcast event or something like that. They started talking, and well, eventually the connection between us came up. Melissa had also remade her life in Chicago, met a guy named Ian, who's a software developer, and apparently they're doing really well. I'm happy for her. Truly. We both managed to get out of that nightmare and build something new. Fast forward to October last year, 2024. 5 years after everything went to hell. I was in my apartment in Seattle, living my normal life, planning the weekend with Sophia when there was a knock at my door. I opened it without thinking much, and there was Kevin, my cousin Kevin, standing at my door after 5 years of total silence. I froze. I didn't know what to do, what to say. He looked terrible, had dark circles, had lost weight, and you could tell he was uncomfortable. Before I could slam the door in his face, he said, "Please, I just want to talk. Please." And I don't know why. Maybe out of curiosity or maybe because a part of me still wanted answers. I let him in. He sat down in my living room and started crying. Really crying. Like sobbing. He told me he was so sorry, that he had ruined my life, that he had been an idiot, and that he needed me to know the truth. And there, he told me everything. Turns out everything, absolutely everything, was made up by a woman named Dana who went to the same gym as Kevin. Apparently Dana was obsessed with him, had tried to flirt with him several times, but Kevin never paid attention because he was with Melissa. When Dana found out about the wedding, she literally invented the entire affair story. She told Kevin, like a week before the wedding, that she had seen Melissa and me together at a hotel in the city. She described the hotel, gave specific details of dates, even said she had someone who could confirm it. Kevin, instead of talking to Melissa or me, instead of asking for real proof, simply believed her. He believed a woman he barely knew over his fiancé and his cousin. When he asked Melissa, she obviously denied everything, but he was already convinced. In his head, we were both guilty and just trying to cover up. On the wedding day, Donna sent Kevin a message saying something like, "Are you really going to marry someone who betrayed you?" And that's what made him explode. That's why he attacked me without even asking me anything first. And the worst part is when Kevin told me this there in my living room, he said that Dana had confessed everything like 6 months ago. 6 months. And it took him 6 months to come looking for me. Apparently Kevin and Melissa obviously didn't get married. She left. He stayed in town wallowing in his misery, and eventually Dana tried to approach him again now that he was alone. When he rejected her because he already knew she was a liar, she yelled at him that he was never going to have Melissa anyway, and that at least she managed to ruin the wedding. Just like that, she confessed that she had made everything up because she wanted Kevin for herself, and if she couldn't have him, at least she'd make sure no one else would. I sat there, listening to all this, and honestly, I didn't know if I wanted to yell at him or hit him or just kick him out. 5 years of my life destroyed by the sick jealousy of a woman I didn't even know, and by my cousin's stupidity in believing her without proof. I asked him why. Why didn't he listen to us when we told him nothing had happened? He said Donna had been so convincing, so detailed, that he just saw what he wanted to see. That he was paranoid because Melissa was so perfect that he was scared of losing her, and when Dana gave him an explanation for why things seemed too good to be true, he simply believed her. After Kevin left that night, because I kicked him out after hearing him out, messages started coming in. From my dad, my mom, Jacob, Madison, uncles, cousins, everyone wanting to talk and reconcile. My dad sent me a long message saying he was so sorry for not listening to me, that they were wrong, that please give them a chance to explain. My mom called me crying, saying she missed me and they should never have turned their backs on me like that. Madison wrote me saying she was young and dumb and now understood that she should have given me the benefit of the doubt. I didn't answer any of them immediately. I needed to process it. I talked to Sophia, who basically wanted to go to Portland and yell at everyone, and I talked to Melissa, who was going through the same thing with her parents trying to contact her. We decided that if we were going to do this, if we were going to confront them, we'd do it together and on our terms. We organized a meeting like 2 weeks later. We told them we wanted to see everyone, including Donna, in a neutral place. We chose an event hall we rented, specifically for this because we didn't want to do it at anyone's house. The day came, and there they all were. My entire family, Melissa's parents, Kevin, Luke, and Dana. Dana looked small, pathetic. When Melissa and I walked in together, with Sophia and Ian by our sides, she turned red. I asked her to repeat in front of everyone what she had done. At first she didn't want to, but Kevin pressured her, and eventually she confessed everything in front of everyone. She said she had made up the story because she was obsessed with Kevin, that she gave false details, that she manipulated everything because she wanted to destroy his relationship with Melissa. Then came the apology part from the family. Mom cried and said she wanted to get her son back. Jacob said he acted impulsively. Madison said she was young and impressionable. Melissa's parents were even worse, trying to justify their actions by saying it was because of their religious beliefs and that God would forgive them all. Melissa spoke first. She told her parents that they threw her out on the street, that they treated her like garbage, that they didn't even give her a chance to defend herself, that they weren't her parents in that moment, they were judge-executioners who only wanted to punish. She told them she didn't need them, that she had built a better life without them. I spoke after. I told everyone, especially my parents, that unconditional love apparently did have conditions, that they turned their backs on me without blinking, without a single question, without a single chance to explain my side, that for 5 years I didn't receive a single call, not a message asking how I was, nothing, and that now that they knew the truth, they wanted to come back like nothing happened, like they could just say, "I'm sorry," and everything would magically be fixed. My dad tried to interrupt me, to say they understood I was angry, but that family was important, and that's where I stopped him. I told him he was right. Family is important. That's why it hurts so much that mine abandoned me when I needed them most. That Sophia, Ian, the friends I made in Seattle, they're my family now. That Madison was 25 when it all happened. She wasn't a kid. She was an adult who decided to believe a stranger over her own brother. Kevin tried to speak, to say that he was to blame for everything, and Melissa cut him off. She told him yes, he was guilty, but so was every person in that room who decided to condemn them without proof. That the fact it took them 5 years to even question the story said a lot about who they were as people. In the end, Melissa and I left. We left them all sitting there with their inadequate apologies and their guilty faces. We didn't accept any reconciliation. We didn't promise to keep in touch. We just left. I felt a strange sense of closure, but also sadness. Because even though they were right to seek forgiveness, The damage was already done. 5 years of my life I'll never get back. 5 years in which I had to rebuild myself from scratch while they continued with their lives peacefully until the truth came to light. Now I'm here, months after that meeting, and the truth is, I'm okay. Better than okay. I'm happy. Sophia and I are doing really well. In fact, I'm planning to propose to her soon. I already bought the ring and everything. Melissa is happy in Chicago with Ian. They're also talking about getting engaged. We both built new lives, better ones, with people who chose us without needing to share blood with us. My family still tries to contact me from time to time. Madison sends me messages every couple of weeks. My mom calls and leaves crying voicemails. But I don't know. A part of me already closed that door. It's not that I hate them. I think I don't even have energy for hate anymore. It's more like indifference, like when you think about people you used to know but who are no longer part of your life. Last week, Sophia asked me if I would ever forgive them, if I would ever give them another chance. I told her I honestly didn't know, that maybe at some point. But right now, I just wanted to keep building my life with her, with the people who showed me that real love doesn't need proof to believe in you. She hugged me and told me she'd support me in whatever I decided, but that she'd never let them hurt me again. And that's enough for me. I have Sophia. I have my job that I like. I have friends who value me. I have a life I built myself from the ashes of the one they took from me. I don't need validation from people who showed that their love was conditional. I guess that's my answer, even though it's still hard for me to fully admit it. Melissa told me something a few weeks ago that's been spinning around in my head. She said, what happened to us was horrible, but in a way, it freed us from people who didn't deserve to be in our lives. That now we know who's capable of truly loving us, without conditions, without doubts. And she's right. It hurts. It'll probably always hurt a little, but it also taught me who I really am and what I'm capable of. When everything falls apart. So yeah, that's my story. A false accusation from a jealous woman destroyed my life in 2019. My entire family turned their backs on me without blinking, and now, 5 years later, they're knocking at my door asking for forgiveness. And I'm here, in Seattle, with the woman I love, planning a future I built without them. I don't know if that's a happy ending or just a new beginning, but it's mine, and that's all that matters.